This is McCook's Mr. Bill. It's an honor to have you here. We're going to talk about sales tax today. Sales tax in Nebraska started in the early 1960s when I was yet a kid. And they threw it before the people saying it would lower land and property taxes and by starting a new tax. My father said anytime you're going to lower one tax by raising another tax, he said you can't imagine all the games and flim-flam that's going on. He had no respect for it then, nor do I today. Be that as it may, the people bought it, line, hook, and sinker, and it was to help lower the property taxes. My father said if you can afford the property, you can afford the tax. And to ask someone that doesn't have any property to pay your taxes did not make sense to him. Of course, the flip of that was people would say that the people that don't own any land, they don't pay any property taxes. Well, if they can't afford to own the land, why should they pay the property taxes? And put it a different way though, in fact, that's a wrong statement. Because you see, if they don't own property, that means they're renting. And a renter not only pays for the landlords that owns the property that's renting it to him, well, the renter pays that property taxes through the rent that he pays the owner. Plus, he gives him 10 to 20% profit. 10 to 20% profit. And yes, you can have bad renters, I get that, and other problems, but on average, you're going to make some serious money as a rental in the rental game. And again, the renter pays the property taxes for that landlord. So to say he doesn't pay any taxes in land, that's it's just a lie. That's just how it is. Be that as it may, that's what they set up to do. And back then, I believe it started out at 3%. And of course, it's went on up to 5.5%, something like that. And then the cities each get into it, and they want taxes. So I think right now McCook is close to or near 2% tax. And they, continually push the subject of needing that tax. We here will be voting again this year on to keep or not to keep the sales tax. And of course, it's already a given it'll pass. You can put money on it. Why? Well, only half the people that can vote do vote in the city of McCook. Only half. And a third of the government employees, or a third of the workforce is government employees. A third. So a third is more than half of a half. So they're always going to get anything they want. You can look at all the brand new vehicles driving around, government vehicles. You can see all the brand new government buildings to tell you that the government gets everything it wants in the city of McCook, and more than likely your city as well. So that's just how it is. When you live in a jungle, you're not going to change how the predators, run the operation. We on the bottom of the pay scale, we're basically the mouse in the jungle concept. And we just have to try to find ways to exist under the tyranny of the power that be. But sales tax is an interesting thing. And I would twist it this way though, the state of Nebraska did one thing intelligent, and I hate to give them anything, but I will give them this, that they did not put a tax on food. Now yes, at a restaurant you're taxed, but not grocery store food. That is not taxed. And that is a substantial savings to, especially we on the bottom of the pay scale, to be able to go in and buy without losing another, 6 or 8% of our income before we can buy anything or equal to what we're buying. And it added to it, it brings in massive amounts of money to the state of Nebraska. How? Because Kansas and Colorado, and I assume the other states around us, have sales tax on everything, including food. And so it pays them, more than pays them, to come across the border and buy their products over here in Nebraska. And of course they buy other stuff which then would be taxed. And they would have never come over to buy that to begin with. So it still averages out quite well, giving them the bargain and the incentive to come over to Nebraska. It is a great asset not to have a tax on something. And food is an excellent way to draw people. And if you think it's just Nebraska though, I have friends in France, Paris to be exact, and they quite often go over to Belgium to buy. Why? Because it's 19% sales tax Sales tax, mind you, 19% in Paris compared to 9% in Belgium. So they go over there to do their buying, and they automatically save 10%. It's worth 10% savings to go over there to buy. So maybe Nebraska ought to consider even doing more of eliminating taxes to make more money. Novel idea? Whatever you want to look at it. This is McCook's Mr. Bill, just talking about sales taxes.